Hi, my name is Jay, and my topic for today is low carb for Filipinos. Before I start, I would like to thank Dr. Grace Rohotan and team for making events like this to make people aware of the wonders that a simple lifestyle change would do to our health and fitness. I'm also thankful for the resource persons that are part of the International Low Carb Awareness Week. Keep in mind that their stories and knowledge are very valuable as we can relate and learn from them all. Now, this is my story. My background about the low-carb lifestyle is I'm practicing it for over 6 years already. As an overweight person way back in 2016, I always had the dream of becoming slimmer and fitter. So I did many ways to try to get my weight down. I've tried things like the boiled food diet. So it's boiled egg, boiled chicken, rice, boiled banana, no flavor. I also tried daily jogging and running, but because of a misstep, I got injured so I stopped. I used various slimming pills that suppress appetite. So for those people who haven't tried this, please don't. I also tried skipping meals, but was so hungry on my next meals. And I tried all of this and failed to sustain it. And with it, I gained back more weight from where I started. This yo-yo diet continued until I was diagnosed with GERD and was prescribed with medicines. The doctor told me that I would need to maintain these as I would feel discomfort with every acid attack. So this left me in shock. Since GERD, it may not be a complicated disease, but having a maintenance medicine at the age of 30 is very alarming at my age. Then I discovered a type of low-carb diet called Keto way back in 2017. I was amazed by the people who tried it and became successful. To be sure that it's not another fad diet or slimming supplement, and I'm not really familiar with Keto, I did my research. I found out that reducing or cutting the excessive carbohydrates and sugars would help me lose weight. And in a keto diet, what you're going to eat instead are high-fat foods. As a Filipino, I was reluctant to try since Filipinos believe that high-fat foods would eventually lead to heart attacks and stroke. So I did my research and finally took the courage to try this new diet. Fast forward to 2023, I have already lost 60 pounds from my starting weight, and I am using low carbs plus right proteins plus daily exercise as my partners in my next goal, which is muscle building. Looking back, I never thought this would be possible since a low carb diet would be scary to try as a Filipino. Up front, it conflicts various points in our culture when it comes to food, practice, and lifestyle. So, is a low-carb diet applicable and doable for Filipinos? First, let's check these points about the Filipino culture. In the Philippines, rice is life. So how much rice does the Philippines consume? In the 2022-2023 marketing year, the Philippines consumed about 15.4 million metric tons of rice, indicating an increase from the previous year. So, the Philippines is one of the largest rice-consuming countries in the world. An average Filipino would consume about 3 to 5 cups of rice per day. They have 3 meals a day with 1 cup of rice per meal. Rice is then partnered with their cooked veggies or meat, and we call that ulam, or viand in English. Rice has been the Filipino staple food from the children to their senior years. And also, when we say rice is life, not only do we talk about cooked white rice, but also the other foods that we can make with the rice. Samples of the dishes we prepare the rice are the lugaw, or the Filipino porridge, and we partner it with fish sauce, spring onions, garlic, and pepper. There is also fried rice, which is made from cold rice from yesterday, and then we saute it with garlic, with salt, and a bit of oil, and sometimes we crack an egg to make it egg fried rice. And there's paella. It's a Spanish-inspired dish with seafood and meat. And this paella, it's usually served with the gatherings and celebrations. And also, the different versions of the kakanin, rice made into desserts, which we'll go to later. A cup of rice would be about 60 grams of carbohydrates each. So, 3 times of that amount would make a Filipino's daily meal intake into 180 grams or more. So let's talk about bread. Bread is a part of the Filipino culture. And in some cases, Filipinos who skip rice make breads the replacement instead. So this is a Filipino bread story. Every morning, Filipinos usually go to the local bakery for a pack of pandesal. Little bread buns, served hot, eaten with butter and dipped in coffee. In the afternoon, the same bakery would make monai. Monai is a round bread best partnered with some eggs, peanut butter, and sometimes you put hot dog in it. And more often than not, you dip it in coffee. And that night, in a place called Cavite where I lived before, there's this bread called bonete. So these small cute breads, they call it bonete, and it got his name because it looks like a bonnet or little chef's hat. It would have a buttery top, and it's the Filipino version of the evening rolls. So those are the popular ones. But since the Filipinos love bread, it would stretch from locally made ones to even those that became a hit in other countries. Regular bread, however, is not low carb since it contains all-purpose flour, margarine, sugar, and other high-carb, high-sugar stuff as its main ingredients. And since we talked about bread, let's talk about desserts. Filipinos love desserts, period. Social gatherings would never be complete without that sweet stuff after the main course. So, normal dessert picks would be some milk tea or flavored iced coffee. It could be pastries, cakes, or ice cream. Or some locally made ones like the leche flan. So it's a smooth flan cake made out of egg yolks, condensed milk, and sugar. We also have the kakanin or the rice cakes. It may be as simple as the brown biko or very colorfully layered in something we call sapin-sapin. Puto is another version of the rice cake. It's a mix of rice flour, coconut milk, and it's made into a soft bread topped with cheese. As the holiday seasons approach, we have the Simbang Gabi or a 9-day Catholic Mass tradition before Christmas. And here's a quick trivia. If you complete the Simbang Gabi and you made a wish, it will come true. And after the Mass, the people would flock the Puto Bongbong and the Bibingka stalls. So Puto Bongbong is a violet elongated pastry, while the Bibingka, it would be a round yellowish cake topped with cheese. Both are cooked on the spot using makeshift steel ovens for freshness, and these are made with sticky rice topped with cheese. And of course, with the Christmas season coming, let's talk about another part of the culture. Filipinos love celebration. We Filipinos love celebrating everything. Of course, Christmas, but the holiday seasons in the Philippines begin September 1 or the start of the bear months, and it extends until January 5 with the Feast of the Three Kings. We celebrate holidays all year round, like Valentine's Day, All Saints Day, and even the Holy Week. And as the Philippines is a melting pot of many cultures, we also celebrate foreign holidays like Thanksgiving, Eid al-Fitr, and others. We also have town fiestas to commemorate the feast day of the town's patron saint. We celebrate family success stories like graduation, board exam passing, christenings, and we even have the pamamanhikan. Pamamanhikan happens before a wedding, where the groom asks the bride's family for her hand, and this is a very serious tradition. And if there is no more events to celebrate, well, we create our own reasons to celebrate. When one gets hired, when a single friend finally gets in a relationship, when someone resigns from a job, and when that friend in a relationship is now back to being single. And with this comes food and drinks. Fiestas would have home-cooked meals or they can have it delivered pre-packed meals from delivery restaurants. And Philippines have quite a selection of buffet and unlimited dining options. Alcoholic drinks and cocktails are also pegged with these celebrations as these drinks are usually overflowing at the events. And sugary high-carb stuff mentioned in this talk would always be present at every celebration. But despite our fancy for celebrations, Filipinos are always on a budget, and we love to be within the budget. So let's talk about food budget. Despite our fondness of celebration and eating, Filipinos are actually budget-centric and tight spenders. We always tend to save for the rainy days, and we always get the best deals of every sale. We like to try new ideas like how low carb was in 2017, but we want to try everything without breaking a bank. 2018 was the year where interest in a low carb lifestyle peaked, and people were very interested to try low carb and its various recipes. And a lot of people became home cooks and home bakers. At that time, special low carb materials were scarce and either hard to find, expensive, or need to be imported from abroad. And access to low-carb ingredients was not only hard for the Filipinos here locally, but also for those working in foreign countries. And if you want to start a low-carb diet, these are the points of the Filipino culture that we'd like to take into consideration. In this, I would like to address these points that may conflict a Filipino starting a low-carb lifestyle. So let's start with rice is life. This is a true scenario in our country. But with innovations and creativity, we were able to make rice substitutes. We riced cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage by mincing them into little pieces. Me, I personally cut my scrambled eggs into little bits to make it rice-like. The shirataki rice from Japan, which is made out of konjac, is now widely available in the Philippines. And for those who don't miss the texture of rice, removing it from the diet was no problem to them. They just continued to eat their eggs, meat, fish, and veggies even without the rice. The number 2 hurdle was bread is part of the culture. This is a bit technical, but Filipinos are very ingenious when it comes to innovation. Also, low-carb flours like almond and coconut flour made its way to our supplies. And also sweeteners like erythritol and stevia are now available at the grocery stores. And way back, I saw everyone trying the 90-second low-carb mug bread and became a breakfast staple. So it replaced the pandesal and the monay. Then people also discovered that you can make bread out of peanut butter and eggs, and you just have to steam it or put it in an oven. And as time goes by, recipes get discovered and made until the mainstream breads now have their low-carb recipes. Bagels, loaves, and even buns can now be made at home or bought online or even in store. Yes, the pandesal, monay, and bonete now have their low-carb counterparts. Filipinos love dessert. This point is very, very important, as there are a lot of Filipinos that have their sweet tooth. So, apart from breads and desserts, whether sweet or savory, people now discover how to convert their favorite high-carb treats into sugar-free ones. They began making sugar-free low-carb ice creams, cakes, and smoothies. The classic Filipino desserts have already been keto-fied too. There's now a low-carb recipe for kakanin, sapin-sapin, bibingka, biko, and the maja blanca. The low-carb puto or mini rice cakes have been my favorite since it's easy to prepare and very, very cheap to make. Flavored iced coffees and milk tea have been re-engineered by substituting cream, stevia, konjac, and other high-carb counterparts to become low-carb for people who always have their dessert drink fix. And now that we made our favorite high-carb foods into their respective low-carb versions, we can now celebrate. And it's best to celebrate with the right protein dishes such as steak or the lechon. The lechon, by the way, is a charcoal pit roasted pig. We can also have air-fried chicken, grilled meat, and fish. Kilawin, or fish made into ceviche, is a very tasty staple in town fiestas as a pika-pika. And more of the right proteins in every celebration would make a great low-carb main course. Then basically, we partner it with low-carb side dishes like veggie mixes, low-carb noodles, and salad. As for desserts, we can always add in keto-fied, sugar-free ones for the attendees' sweet fix. Zero-calorie drinks, water infused with lemon and cucumber would always make a good refreshment option. These low-carb selections may be something new to the guest. It will surely make them curious once they have tasted these foods. And soon, they will be open to try the low-carb lifestyle with us. And now for the last hurdle, food budget and access to low-carb ingredients. Right now, the Philippines is experiencing about 6% of inflation this year. Yes, it's true that everyone is on a tight budget right now. And the thing us seasoned low-carbers do is pick the essential foods, which are the right proteins like eggs, meat, and fish. Here in the Philippines, the affordable right proteins are simply eggs, chicken gizzard, canned sardines, and the chicharon or the pork cracklings. Chicken breast would also be cheap if bought in bulk. These would be the basic staples so we can hit our proteins daily. Budget-friendly side dishes are veggies like bean sprouts, green leafy vegetables, and the chayote. We saute this in onion, garlic, and tomatoes to make it into a side dish. Cooking in big batches would provide savings for those who would like to try low-carb but on a budget. Preparing about 3 kilos of meat would last about 1 month in a freezer, and could be consumed for about 2 to 3 weeks. Cooking veggies in bulk, however, would only last a week in the freezer so we can check the amount that we cook for each batch. My personal veggie meal prep would be the bean sprout, chayote, and carrot mix. And if I am on a budget, I would just add a can or two of sardines, and it will become a meal packed with proteins and omega-3. Given these cultural Filipino traits have, and having solved the hurdles each provide, the low-carb lifestyle is possible for every Filipino. With a bit of Filipino ingenuity and creativity, we can try and adapt to a new lifestyle. By not only converting high-carb food into sugar-free, by not only making the traditional Filipino food into their low-carb version, and by also making new recipes for our communities to try. We can make vegetables and eggs into rice, we can bake low-carb breads, and if we can make bread, we can make desserts and drinks. And of course, we can cook this food and serve them at our celebrations and fiestas. And our local market and food canteens would always have affordable low-carb selections in them. To sum it up, basic Filipino meals is low-carb already, given that you take out the rice and you just eat the veggies, the meat, and the fish. And to end my talk, I would recommend the low-carb lifestyle to anyone watching who has not tried it yet, to anyone who tried it before but did not continue for personal reasons, and to those who are currently doing it but struggling. This diet has been one of my best tools to lose 60 pounds of my weight. And low carb made me feel better as I am off my medications from GERD for over 6 years already. And it introduced me to a community where I can share my experiences and share my stories to inspire others for them to start their health journey. And now, more and more people are trying the lifestyle and making great stories of their own. Thank you so much for watching, and this is Low Carb for Filipinos. And as I always say, my word of hope, and I'll